بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Previously, we went through or explained the articulation points of the Arabic letters. We stopped on Sad, Zai, and Sin. So we said Sad, Zai, and Sin are articulated by putting the end of the tip of the tongue on the plates of the two lower incisors. The sound is emitted from between the upper and lower front incisors, so the sound comes between the teeth, with the tongue or the tip of the tongue lightly or placed on the bottom incisors. So it's kind of like a whistling sound. That's with Sad, Zai, and Sin. The following letters are Dha, Dhal, and Tha. These letters are also called Al-Huruf Al-Lathawiyya. So, تخرج من طرف اللسان من جهة ظهره مع أطراف الثنايا العليا أي رؤوسهما. So these three letters are articulated from between the tip of the tongue, from the top side of the tip of the tongue, and the bottom edges of the two top incisors. So you're putting your teeth, your tongue out between the top incisors. The bottom incisors are not necessarily touching the tongue, but the tongue is out between the teeth. And the sound is emitted from the top. So it comes out through the teeth, the top incisors, and the tip of the tongue. They are grouped as al-huruf al-lathawiyya because the articulation point is somewhat close to the gums. So the articulation point, because it's close to the gums, they call it al-lathawiyya, or the gum letters. Imam ibn al-Jazari, in his work known as al-Jazariyya, said the following about the letters: وَالضَّاءُ وَالذَّالُ وَثَالِ الْعُلْيَا مِنْ طَرَفَيْهِمَا. وَالضَّاءُ وَالذَّالُ وَثَالِ الْعُلْيَا مِنْ طَرَفَيْهِمَا, which means, and the dha and dhal and tha are from the upper incisors, from the two tips, meaning the bottom edges of the teeth and top of the tip of the tongue. The illustrations here, they show how the tongue looks with dhal and tha. The difference between these two letters, dhal and tha, is dhal is a voiced letter, it's an apparent letter. Tha is a whispered letter. Dha has isti'la, where you see the tongue in the back, rising. Dha, dha, dhal, and tha. In some countries or some people where in their language dha, dhal, and tha are not common, what happens is the tongue, instead of coming out, the tip of the tongue, instead of coming out between the teeth, they may keep the tongue inside, and instead of pronouncing a tha, they pronounce a sa. Instead of pronouncing a dha, they pronounce a za. They say zalika al-kitab, as opposed to dhalika al-kitab. And instead of saying al-zalimin, they say al-zalimin, right? Which is wrong. So the difference is the tongue. If you keep it inside, touched up against the bottom incisors, then you'll get a za, sa, sa. But if you bring it out to between the two front teeth and between the two incisors, the top incisors, and that's the only difference. So just pay attention to that. Everyone want to try these three letters? Dha, the,
ذا
as, al, 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 ثمانية ثمانية ذلك الكتاب
ذلك الكتاب
الذي
طالب
ذلك الذي
ثمانية
So the next articulation point, which is also part of the mouth. So we said there are four major articulation points: al-jawf, al-halq, which is the throat, al-fam, which is the mouth, and al-khayshum, which is the nose. So the mouth, al-fam, or al-halq, contains three articulation points: bottom of the throat, middle of the throat, top of the throat. Al-lisan, or the mouth, al-fam, contains two articulation points, which are the tongue, or two major articulation points, which are the tongue and the lips. The tongue has 10 articulation points for 18 letters. The lips has two articulation points for 3 letters. The lips has two articulation points for 3 letters. So the lips have two articulation points attributed to them for 4 letters. I said 3, so it's 4 letters. As follows. Al-fa. The first one is al-fa. ما بين باطن الشفة السفلى وأطراف الثنايا العليا. The fa is articulated between the inside of the lower lip. So inside of the lower lip and the tip of the 2 front incisors. So inside of the lower lip with the tip of the 2 front top incisors. I think instead of saying front incisors, it should be top incisors. Yeah?
Upper incisors.
Upper incisors. Imam Ibn al-Jazari, in his work, said the following about the fa: وَمِن بَطْنِ الشَّفَةِ فَالْفَا مَا طَرَافِ الثَّنَايَا الْمُشْرِفَةِ, which means from the inside of the lower lip, there is the fa with the tip of the top incisors. F, F, F. And I don't think, it's not common to find someone that has a problem pronouncing fa. Fa is usually an easy letter. The next articulation point, right, it's the lips being pursed or being closed, or both lips in action at the same time, right? Both lips in action at the same time. 3 letters are pronounced from the lips, which are al-waw, al-ba, and al-mim. So before we talked about al-waw being from al-jawf, right? You guys remember, right? Nuhiha, right? Ooh. So we said that the waw is from al-jawf. So the waw that's referred to here is the waw that has a vowel. And I don't know, I think some of you remember or not, that there are 3 kinds of waw and 3 kinds of ya. Okay? The first kind is mad. So when a waw is sakin with a dhamma before it. When a ya is sakin with a kasra before it. This is one type. The second type is when it's lean. So when a waw or ya has a sukoon with a fatha before it, it has its own rules. And the third kind is when the waw or ya itself has a vowel. So here, the waw that's here is talking about the waw that itself has a vowel. الواو غير المادية من بين الشفتين معا بانضمامهما. The unlengthened waw is articulated by forming a circle with the two lips, without the two lips meeting completely, so that the sound can run. W, w, wa, wu, we, w. So you purse the lips or make a circle with your lips.
Wow.
Al-mim من بين الشفتين معا بانطباقهما. The meme is articulated by closing the two lips together. The difference between the meme and ba is that the meme has a ghunnah. A ghunnah is the nasal sound. And the ba has some stronger characteristics. So the ba is a strong, hard letter. B, b. And they're both articulated by closing the lips.
با.
الباء من بين الشفتين مع بانطباقهما. The ba is articulated by closing the two lips together also. These four letters, الفاء, الواو, غير المادية, الباء, الميم, are called الحروف الشفوية, meaning the lip letters. Imam ibn al-Jazari said, للشفتين الواو باء ميم. For the lips are واو, ba, and mim. And to end it, I think this last one is easy. The nose is the articulation point for the ghunnah, the nasal sound. Okay? الخيشوم هو خرق الأنف المنجذب إلى داخل الفم أو يقال هو أقصى الأنف. So al-khayshum, or the nasal passage, it is the hole in the nose that continues back towards the inside of the mouth. This is the place where ghunnah comes from. It's a nasal sound coming from the, and maybe Dr. Jamal, you can help me with this word. Nasopharynx.
Pharynx, nasopharynx, yes.
Nasopharynx, without any influence from the tongue. So it's coming out through here, and the tongue is not influencing it. If you hold your nose closed, you can try this, you will not be able to produce the sound. Therefore, the sound of the ghunnah comes from the nasopharynx. But the letters themselves, right, that have this associated sound with them, are not articulated from the nose. So the letters themselves are articulated either from the tip of the tongue, touching the gum, or from the lips, which are the noon and mim. They're not articulated from the nose, but the sound itself is from the nose. These letters have their own articulation point, but the ghunnah accompanying the letters comes from the nose. And that makes sense, right? That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
The ghunnah is a characteristic of an-noon and al-mim. That is especially prevalent when they have a shadda on them. It's also very noticeable on an-noon with tanween, when there is an ikhfa or iqlab, or idgham as well. And the meme when there is ikhfa as well. Imam al-Ghazali said, وَغُنَّةٌ مَخْرَجُهَا الْخَيْشُمُ. That the ghunnah, its articulation point, is from the nasal passage. And I think that's pretty clear. So the meme, you see the lips are closed, so the sound is coming through the nose. So the meme, you're closing the mouth, the passage, the voice passage, you're closing it, your lips. So the sound is coming through the nose. With the noon, you're closing the passage with your tongue, so the sound is also coming through your nose. So that extra space that is used for the sound to go through the mouth and then up through the nose gives a different sound than if the sound is blocked off with the tongue and goes up. And there's a different sound if you block the tongue, you block the sound from the back of the tongue. You guys can try that as well. Each one has a different sound. And the reason each one has a different sound is because the sound is getting to a certain place. So the echo has a certain amount of space that the sound covers gives a different echo depending on how much space it covers. Allahu A'lam.
Interesting.
One of the wonders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, you know, to show you how meticulous Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Al-Latif al-Khabir. SubhanAllah. You guys have any questions?
Yeah. So the four major articulation points: jawf, halaq, fam, wa khayshum. But what about the lisan? Is that not a separate articulation point?
Al-Lisan is part of the fam.
Okay.
Make sense?
Lisan and the shafatain, the lips.
Right. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك